always wanted to play in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, speaking with my dad, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Music changed my life. Certain artists made me a better person. I want to hopefully have that type of impact on others as well. So Seattle.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Grew up in Seattle, Washington, 80s baby. I grew up in an area called Capitol Hill. Very artistic community. I was immediately pulled into the arts, more visual. I was 15 or 16. The internet wasn't this like massive thing that it is now that everyone has at their like disposal. This is like dial-up internet. And there was not a like, well, if I blow up, like I could become massive. My foundational years were much more just like, I just want to make art. I just want to be in the studio with my friends.
Yeah.
Everything that happened was in the moment. It wasn't being recorded. It wasn't being uploaded. It was just like, we're rapping on the corner. Now we're in the studio, but we're the only people with this music. We have nothing to do with it. We're just trying to get better for the sake of the craft. It was very underground, very different.
Yeah, that concept is insane to me.
What's your first soccer memory?
Obviously, both my parents played the game. You know, a lot of people give credit to my dad, and they just forget that my mom was a really good player. They went to the same school, that's how they met. My mom had my brother at a very young age, which changes some things, but yeah, got a lot from them, and I was just always in the game from super young.
Yeah.
My first coach, Hugo Perez, who I always give a lot of credit to at the youth national team, I think he saw something in me and like knew that this kid, you know what, he's still got to grow, but once he does, I think we can see what he has, and he really developed me and helped. And
okay, so you knew.
Yeah.
So like at that point, what was your like, I'm gonna be a professional? What was the ceiling?
I always wanted to play in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, speaking with my dad, I was like, this is what I want to do. The first year that I moved over to Germany was the toughest year of my life. I had so many talks with my dad, just like, do I want to do this? And I was never giving up until I made it as a professional in Europe. That was my ultimate goal as a kid, and like I wanted to be a professional soccer player. The sound of that to me was just, yeah, that was everything. Champions League, I always watched that growing up. So once I started to take place in that and playing like on a yearly basis in Dortmund, I played for a couple of years, and then coming to Chelsea, and then going far in the competition and winning it, and being a part of that team was something like the best memory I have of club football, like in my career so far.
Yeah.
It's the, I mean, I don't know, I compare it to your industry, winning the Grammy, winning the this, winning, you know, it's just like the biggest thing you can do. To share it with those guys too is, it's definitely a, you know, sick experience. When did the rapping start? When was that? What age was it like?
It's funny because it all kind of happened around the same time. I quit sports when I started to rap.
I remember in middle school, like when Thrift Shop like came out, and I'm listening on the radio, listening on the way to even blow up from that, it's just crazy to me.
Absolutely, Thrift Shop went viral.
Yeah.
But I never thought it would be, any of my music would be on the radio or anything like that. It was always coming from a place of underground music, connecting with fans first and foremost.
I was making my decision on my first club to really sign for. And I remember that's when Can't Hold Us was just like, just blowing up. And like, that was the song I remember of that time. It was just on all the time, every second on the radio, but like I mean, everyone just loved it at that time, obviously. It was such a hit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was bumping a lot of music at 15 or 16. I think mainstream rap at the time, it was Pac and Biggie and Mobb Deep and, you know, that era in particular. In terms of a song or an album, it was Ready to Die by Biggie. I mean, what Snoop and Dre were doing too, and Pac. It's a great era for hip hop.
I just remember driving to training with my dad every single day, going from Hershey to Lancaster, playing for Classics. And it was just my dad. He just had Kelly Clarkson. It was James Blunt. I was just listening to on repeat, just these songs, just getting rinsed, and it was good times. Those songs always stick with me. And
Shout out Kelly Clarkson.
At 17, I mean, I was just buzzing. It was one of the most insane moments. When you watch it on TV and you hear, "We are the champions," and then when you hear that out on the field and they're waving the Champions League banner, you're playing in an unbelievable stadium. It's insane. So, yeah, I remember that. I'll always remember that.
What it is that we both do in terms of like pushing through. And there's, you know, because I'm on stage for 75 minutes, 90 minutes, rapping, jumping, running, walking on the crowd. Like I'm going in 100% every single show. Right. There's not like a thing in my brain that's like, tonight, let's give it 80. It's like a game for you, I would imagine.
Yeah,
it's not
games,
like once you take the field, all bets are off. You're gonna go 100. There's no other speed. And one thing that I've realized is I have 2 knee surgeries now, like tore both meniscuses, like, and you're like, okay, I need to treat this like I'm a professional athlete, or else I'm not gonna be able to do this at this level, and I wanna be able to do this for as long as possible. And performing, getting in front of people, like that is where this music has always come from, is to be played live. I think that I flourish on stage. I feel like I'm the best at what I do. And I know that. And when I get on stage, I'm like, watch the show that I'm about to put on right now. We just did Imagine Dragons tour, and there was super crazy Imagine Dragons fans. And I'm like, you guys might not know that you know these records, or you might not even know these records. But by the end of this 45-minute set, I'm going to win you over.
That is pretty sick.
And that process keeps me in the game.
In the semifinal, obviously we played against Real Madrid, who has the most history in this competition. And the first leg I scored, you know, got us in a really good position. Second leg came on and got an assist.
How was the goal? How did you score?
The goal was actually a pretty nice goal. It's sort of a run in behind. The ball was coming like over my head like this. Like took it down. Then I remember like one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but I had kind of a bad angle, and this goalie's just massive, so like I couldn't really shoot. And like I just kind of faked it, dribbled around him, and then by that time, there was 2 players like standing on each side of the goal, 2 defenders. They can't use their hands, so like better off shoot a little bit high, and I just shot it like right in between them into the goal. So it was a nice goal. I'll always remember that one. Going to the final in Porto, I've never felt nerves and like going into a game like that. You know, Champions League final, it's literally what you dream about. What you know, you're at home, you're like, oh, Champions League final, penalty kick, I gotta score, you know. So yeah, and then we just had just a great team performance that game. We're able to see them off 1-0, and that was that. And just the celebrations afterwards, after such a crazy season. A lot of people don't like realize I flew the next day straight to Denver to meet the national team, like right after that, and play in another semifinal and final in the Nations League, which was like the best moment of my life. And then I was like, I celebrated, went crazy for a night, but then I was like, bang, I gotta go straight there.
These wins, you know, there's no time to even celebrate them. It's just like, what's next?
It's insane, yeah.
Keep going.
That's just how life works, man.
I know.
Always want the next things.
Exactly. I'm able to look at myself like, you know, was it worth it? Did I make this place better? Did I make it worse? Like, did I actually do something with my precious time on this earth? And those questions, if you can answer them like, you know what, I helped people. I was of service. I showed up. I made mistakes along the way, but I changed people's lives. A kid being like, yo, that song about recovery like is the one that got me sober. And now I'm doing this and I have my family back. Those are the moments that I'm like, oh, individuals connecting on that level versus this broad brushstroke of legacy and how I want to be remembered as a rapper and as a human. It's like music changed my life. Certain artists made me a better person. I want to hopefully have that type of impact on others as well.
Some of my best moments too are like, I remember just especially when I was 17, 18 and I'm driving and I just see somebody a little kid wearing my jersey, and I'm just thinking like, man, like when I was growing up, and I was wearing my idols' jerseys, you know, and, like to think that that kid like can be at all inspired by anything that I do. Like, those are some of the biggest ones for me as well, especially growing up. Just it's so crazy to see that.
That's dope.
Yeah. I don't know why, the one that just came to my mind when you said like, just put like a smile to my face. The Show Goes On, it was Lupe Fiasco. That was just one that, I don't know what it was. It must have just been the timing of it, or just every time that song came out, like, it was back in the day where like, I didn't have an iPod where I could just play that. So like I was waiting, I was like, please come on the radio. And when it did, driving to trainings and stuff, I was like, yes, this is on. And that was just one that.
Yeah, it's a great record.
Just one of my favorite songs.
There is a song that I come back to time and time again. It's by John Coltrane. It's called Wise One. And it starts with this piano. He comes in, the tenor sax, and there's something about it that just freezes the moment for me. Like I go back to being 16 years old in a snowstorm in Seattle on 10th Avenue and Lynn, like my block, like I go back to that place. I go back to, you know, even last year with like my kids out. For some reason it's a snow song. I bump that in the snow, but I bump it all the time. But it's a record that brings me back to like the present moment. And I love jazz, and that's one that I will listen to for the rest of my life.